Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Nice to see you all today. Little more people than we had last week. Hopefully it will continue this way. These lovely flowers tonight are sponsored by Joyce Kessler in honor of her birthday, which was on Sunday. Happy birthday, Joyce. You're right? Yeah. We have a number of great events coming up. Next Friday night will be the installation of the Board of Directors. We were not able to hold an installation last year, so I hope that we can get many of you to attend to congratulate and welcome the new board and say goodbye to the old board. We really managed to accomplish a great deal despite the fact our meetings were on Zoom. I'm very proud of what the board did, and I'm looking forward to this new term. So I hope you'll come and support your new board of directors. Next Sunday is the Sisterhood Paid Member Champagne Brunch. You must pay your dues, please, and payment is due by Tuesday the 10th. You can either pay online or you can pay at the door. We're looking forward to that. This is something a little different this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing all my sisters. As always, I'd like to thank our staff, Rabbi Mark Goldfarb, Cantor Jaffe, and of course our accompanist, Dr. Ray Irwin, and our technical staff tonight, Phil Carey, Arjun Ramesh, and David Youngman. Thank you all, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you very much, Dina. In addition to the flowers, we have special Shabbat greetings from Jeff and Wilma Shear and Rita and Bob Rubin. We are grateful for their continued support, and I do wish to acknowledge that Jeff is a past president of our congregation. And if I may be so bold, Joyce, if I might ask you to stand in your place as I know you are able, we want to acknowledge your birthday with a special certificate, which I will be able to present to you live. We don't even have to mail it to you. But I do want to take the opportunity to read its contents because it contains all of our blessings and prayers for you. Yom Huledet Sameach, we say in Hebrew, happy birthday to you. God of days and years, author of life, we thank you for the blessings of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today to share in happiness of Joyce Kessler in celebration of her birthday. I'm only giving you two ums. 81st birthday, shall we just say it? 81 years old. May Joyce be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. With your presence at her side, may Joyce be blessed to see her world in her lifetime. May Joyce's heart act wisely, her lips speak wisdom, and her tongue whisper songs. May her vision always be toward the future, her eyes shine with the light of Torah, and her face glow like the splendor of the heavens, which it does. May Joyce be blessed with wholeness, contentment, peace, and above all, with shalom. Celebrated this 29th day of Av, the 6th day of August, signed by myself, our cantor, and our president. It is my honor to be able to present to you our special world-famous birthday certificates as we join with the cantor in the singing of Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov.
Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov u'Mazel Tov Siman Tov. Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov u'Mazel Tov Siman Tov. Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov u'Mazel Tov Siman Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael.
Mazel tov, Joyce. Mazel tov to you. Our service continues on page 9 in our prayer books. For those of you joining us on our YouTube channel, the slides will contain the text for our services this evening. on page 9 in our prayer books. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, however, we seek not to acquire, but rather to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it was a horn of plenty that could never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. And so we embrace Shabbat, this day of rest, this day of wonder, this day of shalom, of peace. Our service continues on page 20 as we continue welcoming Shabbat with the words of Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi, which you can find on page 20. We will, before we get to the last verse, the Boi Kala, Come, O Bride, where we welcome physically the presence of Shabbat. Although Shabbat needs no doorway to enter, we will nonetheless, I will invite us to rise as we are able and face the entry to our sanctuary as not yet. When we get to that verse, I will invite you as our way of symbolically welcoming Shabbat, the presence of the Shekhinah into our lives. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. נעמוד בזכור בדיבור אחד, שמענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמעו תפארת ולתהילה אל הדודי. לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. שבת לכו ונלכה, עם כל הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, בעורי כולי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה.
Let us rise as we are able and face the entry to our sanctuary.
בשלום עטרת בעלה, בשמחה ובקולה, אמוני עם סגולה, בואי קהלה, בואי קהלה.
We may face the front.
לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה.
I invite Flo Bornstein to join the Cantor and I on our bima as we continue with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. So we turn in our prayer books to the bottom of page 3.
Light.
Sorry.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal light of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvazo v'tzivanu l'halek ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with the mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Flo, it is a pleasure to welcome you back within the community. We know you've been through a very difficult time. We are here in support of you and hope and pray that you will continue to find comfort and support amongst us. We may be seated. A worship service gives us the opportunity to reflect. It gives us the opportunity to pause from our doings so that we might instead focus on our being. This is truly a difficult thing for us modern human beings to do. We are constantly inundated with a variety of tasks. Emails to respond to. Remember the days of faxes? I remember those. We used to have to fax all kinds of things. Emails to respond to, text messages to respond to, phone calls from a lot of unsolicited sources. How many of us continue to receive those phone calls about our auto warranty and stuff? Oh my God. What a pleasure it is to set all of that aside, even if only for a few moments. What a wonderful relief it is to be able to say to the outside world, you know what, hold on a moment, I'll get back with you. Right now I need to listen to the words of my heart. Right now I need to reconnect with my soul. That's what we do in a worship service. With words, with melodies, with rituals, we have a chance to create sacred time in this sacred space. We're very good at sanctifying space. Look at our homes, look at our buildings, look at our offices. Those are all spaces that we do very well in consecrating and in making special. Some of us have lived through the pleasure of some remodeling projects, whether recently or in years past. We know how special we can make those spaces. Time. Time, however, is a bigger challenge. How do you sanctify time? How do you make time special? By doing what we do this evening, by engaging as a community, by coming together, whether physically or in our virtual space, to set aside time to focus on something other than just ourselves, other than just what I need at this moment. This is what prayer offers us. We continue in our prayer books on page 28 with the words of our Baruch Hu, our call to worship. I invite us to rise as we are able.
La 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdoms sets the way which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue on page 34 with the words that have become the watchword of our faith, the words of our Shema.
Sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand. They shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates. He may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Our service continues on page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promised passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Mi chamocha elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Yam bam bam bim bi bi bam, ya ba 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 bim bam, yam ba ba bim bi bi bam, ya ba 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 bim bam. Die 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 die, ya ba 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 bim bam. Die 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 die, ya ba 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 bim bam. Alechutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayan לפני משה ומרים, זהינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ים בם בבים ביבי בם, יא בבא בבים בם, ים בם בבים ביבי בם, יא בבא בבים בם. די 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 די, יא בבא בבים בם. די 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 די, יא בבא בבים בם.
Our service continues on page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God, and bring us into shelter, into the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence there is acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu ma'akeinu העמידנו מעכנו לחיים, לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מעכנו לחיים, לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מעכנו לחיים, לחיים.
There is so much in modern life that we take for granted. The ability to, with a device in our hand, reach out and speak to someone on the other side of the world. The ability to be able to go online, to be able to transmit a video picture of ourselves to friends and loved ones, or to receive such a video message. Decades ago, this would have been thought of as science fiction. And here we are living it. There is much we moderns often take for granted. And a weekend is one of those very things. The idea of a Shabbat, the Sabbath, this is our gift to the world. This is the Jewish gift to the world. Before Judaism, human beings did not have days of leisure. You worked 7 days a week, sun up to sundown, for the king, for the pharaoh, for the queen, whoever was the royalty. That was our job as a human being. Kings, priests, queens, pharaohs, they had days of relaxation. They had days of leisure. The average human being, not so. Consider what a radical thought it is to tell the representative of God that you are a divine being and are entitled to 1 day a week. 1 day a week to not serve the human being, but rather to serve the true God. What a radical concept this is. To say to authority, you are not the authority. To say to royalty, by privilege of birth, you might be the king, queen, pharaoh, but there is a higher power to which I will answer. This is a radical thought. We have filled our weekends with work, unfortunately. But on Shabbat, we have a chance to rekindle that same rebelliousness against the material world. We have the opportunity to say to the powers of today, no, not today. I'm not going to spend. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to do those things you want me to do. Instead, I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to listen to music. I want to read an article. I want to take a nap. Modern life doesn't like human beings that take naps because we're not spending and we're not doing. Modern life doesn't like human beings who take time to contemplate on their lives. but we can. Shabbat offers us that opportunity. May we take time during this Shabbat to do exactly that. Not what we're supposed to do by someone else. Not what we're expected to do by someone else. But what truly speaks to us in our hearts and in our souls. Whether it's to watch the birds fly, the sun move across the sky, the grass grow, whatever it is, do that which enriches your life. That is Shabbat, and that is our rebellion. Our service continues on page 44.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. מקדשי שביעי, מקדשי שביעי, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו, ישבחו ויתענגו מטובך. ישבחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו, השביעי רצית בו וקידשתו. חמדת ימים אותו קראת, זה למעשה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג.
Our service continues on page 47 with a thought about prayer. In a moment, we will continue with the words of our tefillah. The Cantor will sing for us a melody that repeats itself on page 46. I invite us to sit where we are for a moment, perhaps even close our eyes during that melody so that might bring us into this time of prayer. In the meantime, I share one of my favorite meditations about the power of prayer. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will.
na ufi yagid tehilatecha na 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 Adonai na 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 Svatai tifach na 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 ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Our service continues on page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'koneh Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Hakol Atah Rab Le'Hoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim Somech nofelim verofei cholim Umatir asurim Umekayem emunato Lishenei afar Micha mocha bal gevurot Umido melach Melech memit umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nemanat al chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'kol yom yahalelucha salah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Amen. We may be seated. Our service continues on page 53. Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. O God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. We continue on page 55. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied. Dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, the poverty, both physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God. Wake us and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Help us to know and to understand, O God, that the border of this sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Instead, let this Shabbat be a time to spur us into action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Re'etzeh Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel U'tehil ratzon tamid Avodat Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Korav Penei El Avadecha Bechonenu Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezena Einenu Beshuvecha l'tzion berachamim Baruch atah Adonai Amachazir Shechinato
Our service continues on page 61. Our prophets taught us, Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, v'lo yilmedu od milchama, that a time would come when nations would beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. A time when implements of destruction would be turned into implements of construction. A time when nation will not lift up sword against nation, and never again would they ever have to train for or send their sons and daughters to die in a war. Adding to that vision are these words: don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and turn those plowshares into musical instruments. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first.
Shalom Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom, ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Halom rava Yisrael amecha tasim leolam. Shalom rava Yisrael amecha טסים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה ישלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
We extend our prayers for peace, shalom, and wholeness, not only to all of the human families on this planet, but in particular to those members of both our families and of our friends who are facing challenges to that very sense of shalom, their health and their well-being. In a moment, the Cantor will lead us in our Misha Berach, our prayers for hope and for healing. I share this prayer for both the sick and the well. Misha Berach Avotenu V'imotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless all who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, physicians and nurses, orderlies, patient transporters, hospital cleaning staff, security guards, technicians, home health aides, EMTs, and pharmacists, all who navigate the unfolding dangers of the world each day to tend to those that they have sworn to help. May they be blessed in their coming home and blessed in their going out. May the sacred work of their hands be blessed, and may they bring strength and healing to those that they serve. We include those members of our congregation, their family and friends who are facing challenges to their health and their well-being. May the knowledge of your presence, O God, help ease their fear, sustain them, and give them strength. May the time come soon when they, and indeed all of us, can breathe without fear. I invite you to share aloud the name of a loved one whom you'd like to include in this blessing of healing. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Misheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Misheberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Misheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
We come to a special opportunity in our worship service. We have read the words from our prayer books. We've sung melodies familiar to us, some melodies new to us. We have joined together as a community, both here in this space and on our YouTube virtual sanctuary. But that's only part of the conversation. The other part of the conversation is a little harder, for it gives us an opportunity to listen to the various streams of melodies and words within us, to silence some of the outside external noises so that we might hear the voice that Elijah heard, that kol demama daka, that soft murmuring sound that called to Elijah and challenged him to be more than who he was. And so we pause for a moment of silent meditation or such other prayer as the heart may prompt.
Shalom bimroma, huya ase shalom aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael imru Ratzon imrefi, Ratzon imrefi, Region ibi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri begoal. Ose shalom bimroma,
As always, Cantor, thank you very much for the beautiful music you bring to our worship services. And Ray as well, the wonderful music accompaniment on our clavinova, thank you. To Arjun and David and Phil, thank you so much for streaming our worship services, enabling us to extend the walls of this sanctuary to the World Wide Web. Remember those days? Everything was www dot. Now we don't even need to deal with the wwws anymore. We just type in the name, and there we go. As it sometimes happened, two longtime friends since they were childhood. These two friends had an argument, a falling out. They refused to speak to each other. Time passed. Various friends tried to get the two to reunite, to reconnect, to deal with this hurt. Finally, at the urging of so many, they agreed to sit with the rabbi. They would meet with the rabbi. They would tell the rabbi their issue, and they would find out who was right, who was wrong, who spoke truth, and who did not. So they agreed to meet with the rabbi. They sit in the rabbi's office. The rabbi's wife, curious about these once dear friends and what could have possibly torn them apart, listened from a distance. The one friend told his story, what happened those many years ago, and how his once dear friend so deeply offended him. The rabbi said, my goodness, what you speak certainly sounds truthful to me. You are right. The friend said, wait a minute, you haven't heard my side of the story. Indeed, you are correct. Please, share your story. The other friend told likewise how his once dear friend said something so mean to him to break the friendship. The rabbi said, well, it certainly seems that you have also spoken truthful. You are indeed right. The rabbi's wife came in and said, wait a minute. Okay? You heard the one guy, he told his story. You said he was truthful, he was right. You heard the other guy, he said he was right. How can they both be right? You know, dear wife, it seems you have spoken truthfully true. You are right. 3 rights? 2 rights might make an airplane, but 3 rights? Really? Good, thank you. I'm from Ohio. Dayton, Ohio, as a matter of fact. How to determine what is right, what is truth, especially to those of us living today where we are inundated with a whole variety of news and not news sources telling us their side of the story. How easy it is for us to become lost in the truths that are being presented to us. Well, this same problem faced our ancestors. In this week's Torah portion, we read the following verse. If there appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner, and he gives you a sign or a portent saying, let us follow and worship another God, whom you have not experienced. Even if the sign or portent that he named to you comes true, do not heed the words of that prophet or that dream diviner. Now, this surely had to have been a very difficult thing for our ancestors. Even if the sign comes true, you're not to believe this guy. Even if what this person says will happen happens, you're not to believe this person. Wow, how in the world can you possibly know what is truth and what is right? For our ancestors, what was truth and what was right was worshiping the one God, Adonai. This was the ultimate reality. And if somebody says, do something other than that, then no matter what that person says, don't do it. All right, so that simplifies it for our ancestors. They were only dealing with one element of truth, one element of reality. Is this something about Adonai or not? Not? Okay, we don't have to listen to you. Even if the water flows backward, even if the trees should fly 100 yards, even if, the moon and stars should stop where they are. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. In our time, it's a bit more complicated. We're not dealing with trying to understand God. We're dealing with trying to understand reality. And yet we have people telling us opposite sides of the story is true. How do we decide? And I think that's part of the overwhelming experience that we are seeing witnessed in our nation and in the world, where it's just too complicated. Therefore, I will just follow whatever he says, whatever she says, because it's too complicated. And that's not right either. We are handing over to someone else the key to reality, our key to reality, and that's not right. We tried that once in our Torah. We have the story of the Tower of Babel. Remember? I remember the story of the Tower of Babel. I remember building a tower out of sugar cubes in my 4th grade religious school class in Dayton, Ohio. As a teenager, I thought it was a way to explain why are there so many different languages. Okay? God came down and said, what are you doing? Okay, no, this is nonsense. I will give each of you a different language. As a rabbinic student, I discovered the teachings of Sforno, an Italian rabbi and biblical commentator. And he focused on a key part of the story of the Tower of Babel that is often overlooked. It's the opening verse to this particular story in our Torah. All the world was of one language and one thought. One thought. When have we human beings ever been of one thought? Not just us Jews, okay? This is true of all human beings. Just look at our families. What would you like for dinner tonight? Macaroni and cheese, Mexican, Italian. I want to go out for dinner. No, I want peanut butter and jelly. When have we ever been of one thought? Never. And so Sforno teaches us that this one thought was an imposed thought upon humanity by the leaders who wanted to build this tower. And there was no debate and no discussion. If you question the building of this tower, you were executed. This is built on a lot of the creative stories of our rabbis, the Midrash. All the world was of one language and one thought. Now, what's the punishment? Multiple languages. Why? So that it will be harder to impose a single thought upon you human beings, because you're going to speak different words. In order to get that one thought brainwashed into your head, you will first have to deal with the barrier of the multiplicity of languages and the multiplicity of word meanings. Now the punishment begins to make sense. We human beings are supposed to be free to think our own thoughts. So what do we do when we're inundated with all of these multiple truths? We have built within us the key. We have built within us the solution. And that solution is doubt. Yes, doubt. Questioning and doubt. Treasured doubt. Often doubt has been portrayed by some as a weakness of faith. No, doubt is the key to faith. If you accept blindly what someone else is telling you, Well, the definition of that is being gullible. Doubt is our antidote. Someone says X. Why would I accept X? I should doubt X. I should investigate what X's claim is. I should research this. Oh, but that takes time, Rabbi. And I don't have time because, I've got to go drive in traffic and I got to go shopping and I got to go do this. I don't have time. That's our problem. And so, as we have seen now, many of these people who were anti-vaccination on their deathbeds in the ICU saying, I was wrong. Well, of course you were. All you had to do was look at the science. But because you chose to listen to why, without investigating it, without researching it, yes, that's what happens. Doubt is our key to unlock what is the truth. My mother always said, my grandmother also said, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if it sounds too easy, it probably is too. For our ancestors, they were just measuring it against one element. Does this deal with God or with another God? Doubt was their key as well. They were told not to believe the sign, even if it comes true. Doubt it, even if the sign comes true. Today, when we don't have signs, miraculous signs appearing before us, that doubt is still our key. Someone says X, we should doubt it, research it, investigate it ourselves. Yes, it takes time. But in today's atmosphere where there is so much thrown at us about what is truth, the only way we're going to find it is if we doubt everything and engage in some critical thinking and some exploration. Doubt. 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 That's our key. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh.
One thing we do not need to doubt is what takes place during the month of August. This is our first Friday in August. And there are birthdays and anniversaries that are factual and true. Whether you want to tell us what the year was or not is irrelevant, but we know that these things do occur. And so if you are celebrating a happy event in the month of August and would like to join the Cantor and I here, or would prefer to stand in your place, you may do so. I will bring the microphone to you. If you are celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, a mortgage burning, a final car payment, any of those things in the month of August, you are invited to come here or to stand in your place, and I will bring the microphone to you. We want to have a chance to acknowledge what that event is, and to do so as we do here at Temple Beth Or. Oh, May, this is wonderful. This is you're going to be number one. Although everything will pale by comparison, so you know what? You're going to be last. Right. You're going to be the last one. We're going to start at the other end. If you have something you're celebrating, please tell us your name, what you're celebrating, and how many years you've been celebrating it, if you are so brave. Do you have something?
Yes, that's my wife Deanna's and my 15th wedding anniversary. So on the 8th, and so yeah, very happy.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Thank you. On the 12th, I will be 74 years old.
Mazel tov.
And tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
I turn 78.
78. Wow. Mazel tov.
She's a baby.
She's a baby. August 1st, I turned 81 and was able to celebrate it with my family who flew in. to be with me. So,
That's wonderful. And finally,
My name is May Salinger. I'm going to be 101 on August 22nd.
yay, all right.
On August 20th, I'm having an Onik here. Please join us.
we will be here, May. In addition, we want to acknowledge the following anniversaries: Jason and Melissa Galvin, Dr. Tim and Jody Green, Shari and Neil Rosen, William and Eleanor Richmond, Jorge and Cheryl Maradiegi, John and Hillary Aguirre, Richard and Marcy Fry, Howard and Penny Lavoot, Ken and Joan Goodman, Ralph and Kathy Rudd, Carl and Barbara Kaplowitz, Howard and Sharon Koenig, Dr. Michael and Hilda Sugarman, Michael and Neely Miller, Brian and Julie Nolte, and Brian and Ming Gamberg. And the following birthdays: Joyce Kessler, Jeff Winston, Joe Manriquez. You're with us. We will acknowledge you from up here, Joe. How many years are you celebrating? 70 years. Excellent. Julie Nolte, Leo Schmidt, Sam Sievertson, Micah Goldfarb, Carol Volan, Penelope Miller, Sharon Gorin. Sharon, you're up here. Allegra Gordon, Dr. Michael Stasny, Dina Jastrock here, Celia Goldstein, Erno Ross, Barry Davis, Seymour Melnick, Raul Almada, Evelyn Spaber, Ryan Greenbaum, Ruth Malkin, Richard Fry, Francesca Gelbart, Danielle Tucker, Mara Milhander, May Salinger, Dee Dee Ginter, Brian Nolte, John Aguirre, Jean Griffin, Richard Kaufman, Lily Kramer, Jason Galvin, and Nanita Mayton. Happy birthday to you all. We join with our cantor in the words of our Shehechianu, our blessing of gratitude.
Kimanu vehikianu azman hazeh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kimanu vehikianu azman hazeh
Mazel tov to all of you, especially to you, May, 101. We could not celebrate her 100th last year, so we're going to celebrate her 101st this year. Mazel tov, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
May you all live to be my age, but not have the hand trouble that I do.
May we be able to walk at 101, May. She went to the gym today. You go, girl. With that, we move to the conclusion of our worship service with the words of our Aleinu. The adoration can be found on page 283, and I invite us to rise as we are able. 283. Let us now praise the Sovereign of the universe and proclaim the greatness of the Creator, whose unity we are charged to declare, whose realm it is our purpose to uphold. Therefore we bow in awe and thanksgiving before the one who is sovereign over all, the Holy and the Blessed One.
Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad. Bayom hahu, ושבו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. We call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 7 and 30-day period since their death. Howard Harris, the father of David Harris. Mark Bornstein, the husband of Flo Bornstein. Leah Levine, the sister of Janice Dezen, and Vicky Emery, the sister of Mike Kritschmar. And to all of you who have suffered the death of a loved one in these immediate days, our hearts go out to you all. To those names, we link the names of those whose yahrzeits have occurred during this past week. Jane Andrews, Harry Berman, Sandy Block, Ann Robinson, Dorothy Shartoff, Abraham Lewis Diamond, Samuel A. Levinson, Nathan Youngman, Rose Letzter, Ray Roth, Rita Konovieski, Louis Roman, Rebecca Benesty, David Klepak, Kopi Ford, Samuel Markovich, Jenny Diamond, Milton Green, Susan Arlene Bessie Luff, Robert Meisler, Meyer Weber, Julio Markovich, and Samuel Stein. And to those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Marvin J. Gilman, Elvia Amirez, Marlene Bielsma, Bernard Haber, Sam Ursus, Rosalie McKinsey, Hal Bruce Hamleben Jr., Joseph Rofe, Mildred Sane, Harold Weber, Karen Copeland, Rita Silverman, Sandra Pascas, Marlene Engel, Leslie Pascas Amador, Edith Zaro, Concha Chavez, John Young, Gerald Kotkin, Ross B. Shear, Jenna Gordon, Doug Austin, Edith Chess, Berta Ursus, Ann Phillips, and Malcolm Dipperstein. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time.
My mother-in-law, Kate Sacker.
To those that we have named aloud and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters, especially at this time of year, and the members and other first responders. As well, we include the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam livracha. We include as well the over 611,000 Americans who have died from COVID-19, and just this past week, the 759 Americans, 24 of them children, who died by gun violence. May their memories inspire us, and may we gather as a source of comfort to those who have suffered loss and death. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing as we share together the words of our Kaddish on page 292. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudasha berichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace. And let us all say, Amen. We conclude this evening with a prayer for our way, as we here are about to set out after our oneg to return to our homes. Those of you who are viewing us from home, as we prepare to say goodbye to you at the end of our Shabbat service, a prayer for our way, which you can find on page 354 in your prayer books. 345 in your prayer books. If you need the words, Debbie Friedman's Tefillat HaDerech, very familiar to us.
The wings of peace, may we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I invite you to remain standing for just a moment. We will do our Kiddush blessing and motzi here, and then as you enter the social hall, feel free to grab a glass of juice or wine as is your preference.
Asher b'mitzvotav v'ratzta banu Shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon Imtilanu zikaron le'maseh bereishit Yom tefilah le'mikra'ei kodesh Sefer tziyat Yisrael Anu v'harata, Tanu kidasha, Mikol ha'amim, Shabbat koshecha, Ve'ava uvratzon, Himnaganu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
L'chaim, Ray. And with a bissela of challah, we are grateful to God for all that sustains us physically and nourishes us spiritually.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Bon appetit, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.